Ladies and gentlemen, it's yet the 2nd of March 2023. I want first of all to congratulate all of you for being alive because it's such a chance. I greet all of you throughout the African continent. I also send regards to our brothers and sisters in the United Kingdom, in India, and good morning to some of our colleagues like Brian, who have just shown that they're already online, and they're all the way in the United States of America. We want to thank all of you for joining in on the Tanya Innovation Show, the Global Talk. This is now the second of those straight versions of the show that we started, enabling to have a number of eminent panelists across the globe to help us digest a number of key things or maybe key sectors that affects our lives. And tonight or in the morning, I have a number of panelists, experts who are with us today. We have got Mr. Tridibesh, of course, who will introduce himself better, but ideally is CEO InCube Innoventures. He will tell us what InCube Innoventure is all about and what he does. We have got Dr. Hashim Chande, all the way from State University of Zanzibar, but right now he's in Dodoma, but he has managed to spare time to join this event tonight. We also have Mr. Faizo Mulalira Umar, our very own in Uganda, the Assistant Director of Law Development Center. Basically, they're in charge of training lawyers in this country. So before you pass through his hands, you will certainly not be able to practice. And of course, these are very notable personalities whom we have today to be able to go through our topic tonight. So first of all, I want to thank you, the panelists, for making time to come on board. And I want to thank all the listeners, wherever you are, for coming on board on the Tanya Innovations Africa platform. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. That means a lot because it helps us to track how many people are finding value into all the discussions that we are having. But above all, if you're online, make sure you put in comments for purpose of us getting feedback, whether the job is being well done, whether you are finding this program useful, and that is very important. So if you haven't, just touch the button and subscribe on the Tanya Innovations Africa platform, okay? Tonight, we're talking about sustainable. When we talk about, we've been able to share with you the topic which I know that all of you have received. We know that agriculture is a very important sector of the African economy, and will not have picked any other best topic other than this topic tonight. We're talking about the sustainable agri-technologies for Africa, and we are looking in the perspective of practice. That majorly will be a component for Mr. Tridibesh, because this is what he's doing in the UK, this is what he's doing in a number of African countries. He's doing this in Philippines, he's doing this in Asian countries. And Dr. Hashim Chande is an expert in the area of agricultural extension services, but he's also an academia. So he will be able to paint the perspective of whether the theory that our students are learning, plus the knowledge and the practice that is being offered in university, is aligning well to these agricultural sustainable technologies. Then we shall have Mr. Faizo Mulalira, who will be painting the legal perspective in relation to agriculture. So before we can even begin, allow me to invite Mr. Tridibesh. Just introduce yourself. Tell us what these sustainable agricultural technologies mean, and then be able to paint it to the work that you are doing. So you introduce yourself, and then you can be able to come on board with that. Your microphone, you're muted.
Thank you, Maganda. Good evening, good morning to all the viewers, depending on where you are. My name is Tridibesh. I represent a company called InCube from the United Kingdom. We work in digital integration of farming value chain across different countries in the world. The objective is to use data, analytics, and communication to improve the farming ecosystem, especially at the last mile, in countries like in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, even I would say Latin America. The last mile issues and challenges that small and marginal farmers face are immense. There is lack of access to information, lack of access to credit, and especially with changes in climate, the risks are increasing. So it is important to create a support system, a knowledge, information backbone to the farming practices to make sure that the risks are mitigated early and thereby the farmers can improve their livelihood. So we primarily work with entities in the last mile, like cooperative societies, farmer clubs, small to medium companies in the farming space, whether they are on the inputs, whether they are into plantations, whether they are into procurement, or maybe food processing as well. And one important aspect which is emerging very quickly is farm to table traceability, that we call it. The food that we are consuming, can we trace it back and be sure that the value chain is trustworthy and authentic? This holds a huge importance for Africa based on our experience so far in working with cooperatives and farms in Kenya, Nigeria, and Congo. We feel that to become export ready, to become export competitive, the African food enterprises need to build data trail for proving to the outside world that the food is great and it is ready for consumption globally as per whatever standards are being followed. So we are, just to summarize, we offer a platform to enterprises in the food value chain, whether it is private enterprise, government extension system. Objective is to build the bridge with knowledge, technology, data, and analytics with the last mile farming community. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that elaborate introduction. I think we're happy to have you on this show because agriculture actually contributes a lot in terms of GDP for our African economy. So we thank you for being here. I think we shall be able to hear more later. Okay. Dr. Hashim Chande, please, can you briefly introduce yourself and briefly also tell us about your university, just the introduction part? Dr. Chande?
Thank you very much, Mr. Maganda. I'm Dr. Hashim Hamza Chande from State University of Zanzibar. I'm Deputy Vice Chancellor of the State University Zanzibar, dealing with planning, finance, and administration. Apart from that, my position also, I'm lecturer of the School of Agriculture which deals on the agricultural related causes, crops and livestock production. Zanzibar is the only public university in Zanzibar among 3 universities that is in Zanzibar, but the state university is the only the public university. But the university, it has a multidisciplinary courses because it involves most of the disciplinary courses like agriculture by itself, or social science and natural science, involve health sciences, business, and education. This is what I can say about the state university. But when I go to my field, that this is what, as you introduced me, Mr. Maganda, as a extensionist, because of my background, I took the Bachelor in Agriculture Extension and Education from Sokoine University in Tanzania. And I have been Kampala International University for Master Information Systems. And then I go back to Tanzania. I have taken the PhD on agriculture extension and education, specifically on the use of mobile phone to communicate agriculture extension. As all of us, we know about the agriculture extension, it is all about how to make the farming community access to the technology. So that's why I decided to see, because the changing of the world and changing of the technologies now, before people, they were going directly from the miles to get the farmer access to the technology. So in this way, so what I did now, to see how the farmer, the access all necessary information, what they need at their places. So that's why we are in university, we are trying to teach our students on how to use these technologies and to reach the farmer where they are. Because now most of the young people, when we look at the experience, most of our young people now, they use internet, and the internet services, it is available in many places. So, and also they use internet gadgets. This is like
Dr.
mobile
Chande,
phone, tablets.
I think before we go into further details, maybe that is important for us to know who you are and know that, like what you're doing. We can save that other part later, so that we first of all know the other panelists.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I'm doing, I'm a lecturer also, apart from administrative issues. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Chande. I know that right now you're not in Zanzibar, you're all the way in Dodoma. Besides your busy schedule, we still thank you for sparing time to be on Tanya Innovations. Habari nyingi sana kwa mandugu zetu walio Tanzania, and those who are also watching from Dodoma, Zanzibar. We even have quite a number of Tanzanians here who are on the platform just to, when they heard that you're on the call. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is second of our panelists. We have now this other gentleman, Mr. Mulalira Faizo Umar, a person that I've known for quite some time, but is in the legal profession. I would like Mr. Faizo Mulalira to come on board. Please introduce yourself, tell us what you do, your qualifications, just so that our viewers know who you're talking to.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maganda and Tanya Innovations, for hosting me this evening in Uganda. Good morning to the world. Good afternoon to the world. Good evening to the world, wherever you're basing to watch us. As introduced, I'm humbled by your kind introduction. Just to re-echo the same, my name is Mulalira Faizo Umar. I am a lawyer in Uganda and an educationist, currently serving as an assistant director at the Road Development Center's newest campus in Lira, northern Uganda. By virtue of being a lawyer, that means my qualification is largely a lawyer, a public administrator, and a project management consultant with qualifications, postgraduate qualification in those areas. I've spent the last 11 to 12 years focusing on research on land tenure systems, improvement of land ownership, and some intellectual property rights relating to plant varieties, plant breeding, and animal genetic resource management, which I've widely written about. I've also worked with small community farmers, both in the countryside and urban farmers that are using backyard spaces for their planting, both for subsistence eating and also some bit of commercial farming. So for me, it's a honor to be on this platform, and I look forward to interacting with fellow Africans and people beyond Africa on how best we can improve and leverage on agri-tech and all these innovations to drive the backbone of African economy from a subsistence to a more reliable and restating Africa's position as the food basket, both within Africa and for the other continents. I look forward to a meaningful and fruitful engagement. Thank you so much, Mr. Maganda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mulalira Faizo. We also still want to thank you for sparing time to come. I know that you also have a very tight schedule, but after all, these are the things we are supposed to do. The knowledge we have doesn't make meaning if we can't share it in the society and community. So our dear listeners and viewers, these are the panelists we have tonight. I hope you've all had a chance to know who they are. And I always encourage people that on Tanya Innovations, we don't only bring these experts to talk and go away. Every panelist we invite on Tanya Innovations, also in one way or the other, you can get in touch to ensure that you can leverage this platform and use them in whichever way. Dr. Hashim is an expert all the way in Zanzibar. If you are in the area of education, you can connect. Mr. Tridibesh is an expert in these smart solutions, agritechs. He's doing most of this project across Africa. You can get in touch and connect. Mr. Mulalira is in the legal side. He's also a consultant in project planning and management. All these are resources that you can always get in touch and connect, and we believe in the power of network. Okay, now that we have had this introduction, Mr. Tridibesh, why, for example, the aspect of sustainable agri-technologies? Why has Incube Innoventures in the UK particularly zeroed on sustainable agri-technologies? And for Africa, what is it that you are doing? What benefits are you looking at that you want to encourage very many other farmers to adopt for that case? Can you just paint a picture in that and maybe give us brief information of what you are currently doing?
Yeah, thanks, Maganda. Just to possibly it is better to share some actual examples.
Yes.
Like currently, we are working with a honey cooperative in Kenya, which has about 2,500 what you call honey farmers. So the cooperative is using our platform to manage their ecosystem, to have almost a real-time engagement with the farming community, uh, sharing of information, knowledge. The farmers can raise their issues, problems, challenges. If there are, I would say, recommended practices to be followed, those can be set in the platform. So the farmer who is possibly far and remote are always connected with the enterprise or the cooperative almost on a real time basis. It also creates a window for providing agri inputs, looking at the harvesting data, procurement, and manage the post procurement, like for this honey cooperative, from the raw honey to make it ready, marketable honey. The process is needs to be managed properly. So this is one example. Second example I would share is of a macadamia nut processing company out of Kenya who are fully export focused. They operate out of an what you call an EPZ in Kenya, and they are a fully HSCCP compliant processing company for their export product. So they are using our platform to manage their entire value chain management, right from farmer to HSCCP compliant process and making consumer ready finished products. We are working with two coffee cooperatives again in Kenya. Apart from that, we are working with the government of Nigeria to build a seed information system where seeds become transparent, the different varieties of seeds become accessible to the farmers, and there is traceability of seeds so that the farmer can validate whether they are getting the right seed from the approved company or it's a counterfeit. So the overall objective is to build a transparent and trustworthy ecosystem. So these are some of the examples that I have shared for Africa. Apart from that, we are working with similar to cooperatives, about 20 odd last mile entities in the farming space. They are in different types of crops, maybe garlic, ginger, tomato, and things like that. We are also working in the what you call the fish, means the sea fish value chain in Malaysia, where there are cooperatives of deep sea fishing farmers, and they use the platform to have a better managed ecosystem overall. Uh, Other than that, we work with a pomegranate growers association in Peru, where they are exporting their fruits to United States and the United Kingdom. So they manage their entire process right from farming to packaging and exports through the platform for efficiency and what you call making themselves ready for growth. Apart from these, there are different food companies who may not be into farming, but they procure raw materials and make finished food. So they are using our platform for offering traceability and transparency to the consumer. So say if you go to the market and see that there is an organic, so a packet which calls itself organic, you may be mentally ready to pay a premium on that, maybe 20, 30% more than what you would ideally pay. But apart from that stamp, is there any data to prove that it is really organic? So I think the world will move towards a more sustainable farming ecosystem where data are transparent and there is data trail to prove that the farming is really happening in a way which is sustainable. And we are continuously building and tailoring our platform to cater to the need of a sustainable food value chain. And when I'm talking of food value chain, it is not only agriculture, it is agriculture, horticulture, poultry, fishery, dairy, deep sea fishing. So it is all what you called, which we typically called agri and allied sectors. We also
Okay.
work with governments, where I come from what Dr. Hashim has said, how to strengthen the agriculture extension system so that the last mile small and medium farmers get a better ecosystem to support to improve their livelihood. So
Okay.
I thought it will be better to cite some actual examples that of what
Okay.
we are doing,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
overall
I agree.
objective is
I agree.
fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tridibesh, for that elaborate introduction of what you do. Of course, Africa has over 54 countries, and therefore it's also important to borrow insights. Uganda is part of East Africa. Kenya is just our neighbor. Would be interested to know from you, why are you in Nigeria? You are in Kenya? You are not here. Those are also things that we'll be interested to know. Is it like you have been lacking partners here, or there could be things that, there could be factors that drive you there? Those are certain things that I think farmers who are listening to you here in Uganda will be interested to know. But that's, I think we shall find, if time allows, I think you'll be able to explain that. Now, Dr. Hashim Chande Hamza, we come to you. You have listened to Mr. Tridibesh all the way from UK talking about these technological innovations. We have very many of our young people in universities. You are now in charge of planning at State University of Zanzibar. Do you think that our higher education system is well aligned to ensure that the young people in the universities are getting these type of skills?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Maganda, for good questions. I think now we are trying to change the model of teaching. Because before, the people in the university, they were just going to the class and they go out and do assignment and they go to their home. But currently what we are doing, because we have seen those people from the university, they cannot be employable. When they go to the market, they are coming from university with good GPAs, but when they go to the market, they cannot able to practice what they have learned. So through the university now, we change the mode of teaching. So specifically, I can talk about in agriculture. So they are spend less time in the class, but more time in the field. We are taking them to the field, and every student should have his own plot and practice what he has learned in the class. And apart from that, also we are taking these students in outreach program, where in the second year of the students of the school, we are allocating our students to the specific farmers. So now they have to work with the farmers to try to solve farmer problem around the campuses. So apart also, we are trying to mobilize our students to form the student clubs that they can have solve the problem by themselves. And also we are trying to involve them in research. So small research for those students from the undergraduate students. We gave them just a very basic research, what they are doing for the short time. But for the master, we are giving them a research that it is taking about an year. So to make them skillful and knowledgeable on what they are learning in the class. Also, we are working in our university. Also, we have different plots. So as what Mr. Tredivish says, now the whole world, we are suffering on climate change. So climate change affects every sector, but mostly we can say agriculture is mostly affected because nobody can avoid agriculture. In that area, so now we have a lot of technology that is to adopt that the climate change, like issues of greenhouses, issues of drip irrigations, issue of using manure and compost. This is an issue that we involve our students from the beginning of preparing those manure and managing of the greenhouse. So this is the way that we are making our students to be very useful when they go to the market.
Okay.
Apart also, we are trying also to involve our students now to look at them small way that or useful way, or let's say I can say this is a not a long time to take, like let's say one in one example about the use of IoT, Internet of Thinking. Because normally if you want to plant, you are supposed to know the soil health, but normally people, they are planting without knowing soil health. So now we are using we are teaching our students to use this is IoT to measure the soil, just a very basic and on point, and instead of taking the soil to the laboratory and thank you that.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is in Africa, okay? I mean, I'm happy of the way you have been able to explain, yeah? And what we do as Tanya Innovation, we shall be knocking on your door to see these farms very soon. But I think that is very eloquent.
You are most welcome.
Thank you very much.
You are most welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Hashim, for that elaborate answer. Now we go to Mr. Muladira Faizo, the lawyer, the train of lawyers, an administrator. I think I can go on and on, project management consultant. Now, Mr. Muladira is a lawyer, and particularly from the top administration of people who train the backhoes. What will be your comments on the efficiency of law governing agri-tech adoption or usage in Africa? Because I see they talk about these technologies, but I know that law has quite a significant contribution in how these technologies can be scaled. Could you be able to share with us some ideas in that area, please?
Thank you so much, Mr. Maganda. As you might be aware, Africa has adopted the African Development Agenda 2064 that is a driver for its development agenda. And several regional setups within Africa, like the SADC, the ECOWAS, the East African Community, have also set up their own agendas. High in the areas of interest in these development agendas is the concept of integrating agri-tech technology in one of our key sectors in the economy of Africa, which is agriculture. Governments, municipal governments and regional governments like the East African Community have made it a point to encourage governments to incentivize the adoption of sustainable agri-tech practices and equipment through creating tax incentives, subsidies for importation, and regulation of the creation of all these plant varieties and animal genetic resources. This in the end means that we then give room for the adoption of these technologies and the modification of our indigenous crops into modified crops, but in a manner that would make them sustainable, such that they are not low in nutrient, meaning they don't have nutrient deficiency, but also they do not cause dangers to our people through regulation of the modification of these plant varieties. Also, the land tenure systems are improving across Africa, where we are allowing foreigners to own large chunks of land. There is ongoing laws for zoning and creating of agricultural zones. The meteorological authorities have been empowered through the meteorological laws to give appropriate forecast to the farmers to be able to know the pattern of rainfall, which we largely rely on, but also solar-powered agricultural technologies have been adopted to facilitate extraction of water from the water table through drilling, and also incentivized equipment that allows irrigation to take on. As far as the trainers, our role is to review these laws and incorporate them in the curriculum. We are trying to incorporate into access to credit and lending through equity and debt lending, particularly lease financing as an option to enable our indigenous farmers to be able to access this credit that is not highly charged in terms of interest and is payable as per the agricultural seasons. We are also trying to review the land laws across Africa, particularly in East Africa, where we are trying to introduce information land management systems, where land is recorded and registered according to the zoning, and this land is the details, or the details of the registered land are captured on the land information. This land easier. We are also having the East African community and the African regional community on biotechnology policies, which allows application of biotechnology in our agriculture. The ECOWAS aware and the African Intercontinental Agreement on Free Trade, they are trying to incorporate biotechnology and strengthen the applicability of biotechnology through adoption of e-farming, digital farming, and digital communication and marketing to allow farmers to be able to retrieve their produce such that it doesn't go to waste, but it goes to the market while it is still fresh, and also installing laws that would enable creation of silos, apart from our traditional silos, but silos that would allow either solar drying or electronic drying to inculcate value addition. We are also having laws that have been enacted to allow extraction of genetic resources from animals, aquaculture, and fishing, where we, besides the pesticide control mechanisms to see that there are laboratories that are checking these pesticides that are coming through to ensure that they are not harmful to human health, and also fighting of non-communicable diseases like cancers related to them. We are also seeing the licensing legal regime for foreign direct investment changing to allow big companies like Monsanto that want to bring in modified plant varieties and animal genetic resources to integrate with our local breeds. I think recently you saw President Ramaphosa making a tour with our president of his farm, having a hybrid of South African cows and the Ankole cows. So there is a lot of intra-trade and limiting of cross-border, both tariff and non-tariff barriers to enable intra-trade within the agriculture sector, which is fetching us a lot of GDP. It increases on our GDP, and the laws and the policy frameworks are all geared to see that Africa attains sustainable agricultural technologies that are not harmful to the people of Africa, but create a spark to Africa's agriculture to make it a center of a food basket globally. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Being a lawyer, I think I technically have to to stop you somewhere. Otherwise, you might produce encyclopedias. But I can also see that online people are making very positive comments about what you're doing. Now, I'm actually interested. I've heard you talk about equity and then the borrowing. I think that is in terms of capital. But we are told that the law has been a disservice to the common man. While other people want to give easier capital to our people, but legally you have made it very tough in terms of a common man accessing some of these loans. But maybe you'll talk about it later. I'm going to read some comments from our viewers. Okay. George Abraham, okay, I think you say waiting. Rita Naguda, looking forward for this conversation. George Abraham, oh, okay. Beatrice Makembe, Tanzania, we are waiting. Malinga Ramadhin, good evening, comrades. Looking forward to learn more from the discussion. Annette Nsobani from Switzerland, waiting. Rahma Hamza, hello. Hadija Hashim Hamza, I'm waiting eagerly for this session. Okay, I think that is before the session started. Hadija Hashim Hamza, I'm Hadija from King Caesar University. I'm very glad to be in this session. Thank you very much, Hadija Hashim. Hadija Hashim is actually a daughter to Dr. Hashim. So, Dr. Hashim, we thank you very much for bringing your daughter to Uganda. And regards, Hadija Hashim. Then Alio Mohammed says, good evening. Then agronomist Kidambire Vincent, one of our boys from Miracle Faith Church, says, today is my agricultural day. I'm closely following to learn new strategies to improve our agrarian value chains. Kidambire just graduated from Makerere University with a Bachelor of Agricultural something. And I would advise you, Mr. Kidambire, now to get in touch with Mr. Hashim. You have been looking for masters. These are now the guys you need to get. HD, that is me, following from Tanzania. Brian Makonzi, live from Las Vegas. Thank you very much, Mr. Brian. Philip Jode, avocado oil processing expert, watching from Kenya. Thank you very much, Philip. Wabonda Yasin, straight from Parapuo Law School. Parapuo. Maybe that could be known to Mr. Faizo. I don't know which one is that. Okay. Then Harith Hamza, like Harith H. Hamza, a student from the State University of Zanzibar. I'm very happy to be part of this session. Thanks the organizer and panelist. Thank you very much, Harith Hamza. Alio Mohammed, live from Kampala. Florence Mutiable, our senior presidential advisor in charge of poverty from Busoga, and a very ardent supporter, I would say, of Tanya Innovation, says, great to be here to listen to experts in technology and hope to learn a lot. Zedel Tomia from Kenya, great to be part of this show, very encouraging. Thank you, Mr. Zede. Dr. Malinga Ramadhin, congratulations. Pongera sana. Dr. Hashim, it's a pleasure meeting you on this forum. Thank you, Dr. Malinga. Dr. Malinga says, sustainable agrotechnologies for Africa can only be sustainable if it originates from Africa, just like what Dr. Hashim Hamza's research produced. Alio Muhammad from King Caesar University, Kampala. Malinga Ramadan again. Thank you, Mr. Mlalira, for legal perspective of the topic. Can you please shed light on the legal implications of sustainable agri-technologies in case anything goes wrong with it? Florence Odanga from Kenya, glad to be here. Thank you, Florence. Mark, Nairobi, Kenya, okay. Samson Olum from Kabale University. Thank you very much, Samson, for being on the call. Malinga Ramadan, thanks very much, Mr. Maganda, for the educative talk show that is exposing us to the new frontiers of technologies across the world. Please keep it on. Thank you. Alzik NM from Uganda, glad to be here. Sule Ale, I also add a vote to Mr. Malinga, thanking the CEO Tanya Africa. Or I think you meant Maganda, because Dr. Malinga is not CEO Tanya. But thank you, Sule. Mary Maganda, following the discussion, thank you Faisal, Hashim, and Tridibesh for the analysis and discussion. Karen Lucy Akongo from Cavendish University, great topic here. Junior Kagame live from Kampala. Ntwatwa James Bryan of Incredible Youth, those who are organizing the Career Week on 20th, very helpful. Members, we have very many chats, but allow me to continue with the topic, and then I shall pick it from there. For those I haven't read, you'll forgive me. Let me just make sure that we can get the comments from the experts, and I'll still be able to read your comments. Otherwise, keep the comments coming. Thank you. Okay, now back to you, Mr. Tridibesh. You have been able to elaborate your presence in Kenya. You have been able to select specific countries. I mean, to talk about specific countries where you are. We want to know what is your motivation. Did you go there because you are invited? Are there factors that have made you to be in Kenya and you are not in Uganda? On this call now, we have a senior presidential advisor in charge of poverty alleviation in Busoga region. And I think she would want to know some of the challenges. Part of the reasons why they are always on this is to see how to get partners. Why are you not in Uganda? Or why have you chosen? Maybe once you paint that, countries like Uganda would learn how to get in touch with people like you. Just briefly, because we have limited time, you can just make comments on that.
Thank you, Maganda. Yeah, so say agriculture is a very local subject. It has what you call geoclimatic variances, and there are local culture nuances. So we essentially work with local partners. So we now have got partners based in Kenya, in Congo to work with. In terms of Nigeria, we are working with one part of the government which is managing the seeds ecosystem. So we are very, very happy to partner with any like-minded enterprise who are really looking at applying technology appropriately in Uganda, Zambia, or other countries. So we are very, very open, happy to connect with any of you, and especially with the appropriate department of the governments. We think we collectively have to play a role in terms of empowering the last mile small and marginal farmers with information, support, and overall ecosystem linkage to make agriculture more, I would say, value adding. So it is, just to summarize, Maganda, it is all about partnerships that we have been able to forge together, and we are very, very keen and happy to have similar partnerships in Uganda. And I will also be very keen to explore with Dr. Hashim if we can partner with the university and do some projects on the ground which can really be adding value to the ecosystem. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think the purpose of the show is already being fulfilled. Dr. Hashim has talked very well about Zanzibar, but we shall also be able to talk about many other universities, and Africa is huge, but no trouble. Now, this is back to Dr. Hashim. Zanzibar has been declared to become the Silicon Valley of Africa. We now have Bill Gates, one of the richest entrepreneur or business persons in the world, having a home in Zanzibar. What is this strategy of Zanzibar becoming the Silicon of Africa? Are we looking at like these agri-technologies, or are we looking at ICT? Yeah, what does it mean by Zanzibar becoming the Silicon of Africa? Can you be able to educate our viewers and listeners what this whole thing of Zanzibar becoming the Silicon of Africa is all about? and how you guys are strategizing to make Zanzibar the Silicon of Africa. Just briefly, we don't have so much time.
Yes, of course, I can say it is becoming a Silicon of Africa for all areas of ICTs. Because the Zanzibar now, as you know, Zanzibar, it is a beautiful island with the beautiful beaches, with the beautiful peoples, and has diversified economics. And the Zanzibar, it is characterized by various culture from Indian, Asia, Persians, and that is attract most people, most of tourism to come to Zanzibar and to be as a home or for some holidays in Zanzibar. So our strategy in Zanzibar, through the free economical zone, the Zanzibar government declare to have a Zanzibar Silicon, where the Ministry of Labor, Economics and Investment, it is already launched the area to be Zanzibar as a Silicon, Zanzibar Silicon. So now, alongside with the CPF, that is the building a big town at Fumba, and also they were invite all investors to come to invest in Zanzibar as in a digital film, or let's say we have a technical film that they can host in Zanzibar. Through that strategy, Zanzibar also, they were already declared to offer the 10 years tax exemptions, for those who are going to invest, and also to offer the visa for those who are coming to invest in the technologies at Zanzibar, and as well as now they are in the finalization of the tech policies, technological policies that will guide the investment. So means that Zanzibar now we are coming not only to depend on tourism, but also to depend on technology. That's why we will offer technological service, digital service that will bring a lot of money from outside, and it will boost our Zanzibar economy. That's what I can say for now, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Hashim. I think Zanzibar, yes, is a beautiful place, and I would like to thank you on camera for hosting us last time in Zanzibar. We enjoyed the tourism in Zanzibar. The only disservice you did was when my wife came back, she said she wants to be in Zanzibar, so it's quite a trouble. But Zanzibar is a very beautiful country, and we appreciate it for that. Now, back to Mr. Mlalira. Africa signed the African Continental Free Trade Area, okay? The pact of that free trade area in 2018 in Rwanda. And there have been very many expectations out of this pact for investors, for local farmers, as a way of trying to leverage the opportunities in agriculture. Could you be able to share with us, is this a paper tiger? Is this producing results? Or could you be able to share the advantages that come with this this pact of the African Free Trade Area Pact?
Okay, thank you so much. It's not the African Free Continental Trade Area Pact that was signed in 2018 in Rwanda, Kigali, is a stride in the right direction in revitalizing Africa's trade, intra-trade, but also agriculture, intra-trade agriculture. As you might have noted, Africa previously had the Malabo Declaration on Agricultural Transformation of 2014, and the AU Agriculture Agenda 2063 informed the clauses in the African Intercontinental Free Trade Area Agreement of 2018. It is a stride in the right direction in promoting intra-trade within Africa, particularly transforming the continental trade in value addition in agricultural products. Many times, lack of markets was a problem to our farmers. The yields, when the seasons could be good, were sparse, but where to sell the produce was a problem. There were also trade barriers and restrictions on trade. For example, whereas we received the eggs from Kenya, Kenya had refused Uganda's maize and sugar. Now with the African Regional Free Trade Area Agreement, it complements on the role of the East African community in trying to negotiate these tariff and non-tariff barriers. We've also seen exportation of electricity from the national grids to countries without electricity, such that it facilitates industrialization and value addition in these agricultural strongholds. We are also seeing that because of the increased accessibility to capital, both within and outside, and the provision of an agricultural fund under the African Development Bank, we are attracting foreign direct investment where many investors are coming in. Instead of taking raw materials from Africa, they're industrializing and ensuring that the products that leave Africa have got value addition, or those that are sold within Africa under the intra-trade arrangement have value addition. This has come with increased production in electricity, tax exemptions for machinery that is coming in, easing entry permits for foreigners that are coming in with this technology, and support for our artisan innovators. In Uganda, we have the biggest innovator called Katwe, Musa Bode Industries, that are really helping to create innovations that ensure value addition. We also have free entry for heavy agricultural machinery, duty-free, across African countries. And they can pass through any African country to connect to either. The commitment on mutual accountability for actions and results has seen African countries checking themselves on biennial agricultural reviews and processes, and also limiting the use of genetically modified foods and animal genetic resources that would hurt the growth of the agricultural sector. Now, we also have provision engagement under the ACFAT, where there is a wide stakeholder engagement to allow intergovernment organizations that come through to ensure that there is sustainable use of natural resources that support agriculture. Like the Lake Victoria Basin is one of the examples where this is being done. So for me, the agreement is as is, and the clauses relating to agriculture are cognizant of the pivotal role of agriculture as the backbone of Africa's economy, but also as a means of raising zero hunger and ensuring that Africans get food that is full of nutrients, so that we don't have malnourishment in the continent, and it extends us to become an agro-industrialized, enhanced agricultural value addition to ensure that our farmers and the governments raise revenues and it increases on our GDP as a continent, and foreign direct investment.
Wow. That is powerful. Thank you very much for shedding light. I hope that our listeners, our viewers, will be able to understand some of these now simplified reports from what is taking place. I'm sure if I was part of the government officials, I would hire you to speak of the good things that are happening, okay? But thank you very much, Mr. Faizo. Now, we are almost coming to the end of this show. I think once I come next, it will be for our panelists to give us some closing remarks and say bye-bye to you. But before that, allow me read the comments from our listeners and viewers. Ntwatwa James Bryan from Incredible Youth International, this is very helpful. Mr. Mukalazi Musa. Mr. Mukalazi Musa is the CEO of Compact College of Computing in Kabalagala. And he says, as an ICT-based institution, we appreciate your efforts. Yes, we would like also to tell all the people who want to do short computing courses to get in touch with the Compact College of Computing. It will be launching its resources this Saturday, beginning 9 a.m. Mr. Waiswa Moses Lubogo, happy to attend. Annette Nsobani from Switzerland, very resourceful information. Rita Nagudi, CEO Kipeke Solutions. Given the limitations in access to land, what are some of the agro-tech innovations to support land sharing, leasing, and linkages between those that have and those that do not have it? So I think, Faiz, when you're making your closing remarks, you can incorporate that. Sal Loum, solarized irrigation is the green future for Africa. I think that's a comment. Kato James Karemba, I'm more interested in land management system. I pray it plays some role in reducing land conflicts, especially in central Uganda. Okwakol Patrick, agriculture being our country's backbone, we surely need a way of improvement in our rudimentary farming to modern technological methods for development. Mary Masinde from Kenya, a pertinent topic, very topical. Thank you, Mary Masinde, for always turning in. George Abraham from the UK, very informative on the ecosystem. Sal Loum, indeed very interesting and informative. Florence Mutiable, how do I access the platform for farmers? What was talked about by the presenter from the UK? That is for you, Tridibesh. George Abraham, huge opportunities for growing business inter-Africa trade. Miriam Namaganda finally succeeded watching from Riders Lounge Bugorobi. We love your educative programs. Much love, Tanya. I'm happy to be part of this. Margaret Kwena, I'm live from Nairobi. Very informative topics. Waibi Anthony Mutasa, thank you, Senior Counsel Muladira, Umar Faizo, for that elaborative response to the question put to you. Anthony Mutasa Waibi, live from Fort Portal. Samuel Mwesuga from Baba TV, thanks for the show. Thank you very much, Samuel. Agronomist Kidambire Vincent, a big thank you to all the panelists. I'm, however, very interested in learning from you all on how best we can build up strong value chains that are resilient. Sule Ale, okay, that was a comment. Saloum, please let participants know that you don't need to have a degree to farm. All farmers are producers. Africa farmers need regular and up-to-date agricultural information. Yes, we shall do that, Saloum. Magezi Michael, we appreciate the knowledge you are giving us, Mr. Maganda, to learn more about our motherland country. Asad Ayaz, lecturer from Cavendish University. Mr. Evans, thank you for the topic. And I don't know how we can convince governments, especially in developing economies, to embrace sustainable agriculture. Michael Okopa, the academic registrar of Cavendish University, happy to be part of this. Prosate, this is, I think, I'm Dr. Kamulegea Grace, the executive president, Prosate. How will Zanzibar work with the local ecosystems of tech innovators and professionals to positively contribute to the Zanzibar Silicon Valley? Prosate is the professional organization of system software engineers and IT professions in Uganda, and that is the president of Prosate. Sal Loum, what support is there for the diaspora to invest in production of food crops? Musinguzi Tony, good submission, Mr. Mlarira. Epic Road Tesla, Rodney from Uganda, nice to be here. George Abraham, good point, Salum. We need to use diaspora funds towards supporting African growth. Olivia, Mr. Mladar Faizo, thank you so much. Edna Nimsima, very educative, Director Benko Establishment. And then Seleum, too much focus on foreign investments. I think those are the comments that have come from the listeners. We almost coming to the end of this show. I'll just welcome, I think, Faizo, you have items you can pick. Then Tridibesh, you can also be able to summarize your comments in that as you say bye-bye. And then I think we can, we can still follow the same order. We can start with Tridibesh with any questions that you are supposed to answer, just summarizing that, and then you can say bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, Maganda. No, I think it has been a wonderful program to be a part of. So I must thank you for that. And as I have mentioned a number of times, I think Africa is really poised to leapfrog into being the food bowl. And we work in very, very limited space as of now. Happy to partner, happy to explore opportunities. And frankly, think that COVID, with all its challenges and threats, have created an opportunity for, I would say, fostering a connected world. So especially areas like healthcare and agriculture has traditionally been very brick and mortar. But now people have started realizing that technology, communication, sharing of information can play a very pivotal role in taking agriculture, especially I would say the overwhelming majority of farmers being small and marginal in developing countries to move to the next step with the right technology. And with that, I think I must thank all the audience and look forward to exciting times ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dim. Dr. Hashim? Dr.
Thank
Hashim
you very
Chande.
much, Mr. Maganda. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hello. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, but I want to respond with this Zanzibar Silicon, because the people, they are asking about how can enable people outside or other people to be invested, or local people to be invested in the silicon, Zanzibar Silicon. This is, as I said, I want to comment that the Zanzibar government is welcome anyone who is a technical know-how or tech company to come Zanzibar to invest. And also there is already land. This is what we call economical zone. It is across Fumba, where Maganda knows the place where there is already investment there. So for those who show the interest to come to invest in Zanzibar, in that area of technical know-how or technological companies, the Zanzibar government, they offer 10 years cooperative tax exemption. If you are the one who have the ability, you can come Zanzibar and you can get this offer for 10 years. And also those technical skill workers or talented people, they can be given a visas. That visa to be stay in Zanzibar and work Zanzibar, even beyond the Zanzibar, beyond the Africa, those people that they can. And also the country now, also they try to develop these technical friend policies of 203 that it will enable those people who are coming to invest in Zanzibar. Currently, we have one company. It is originated from Kenya. It is known as Wasoko. It is one company that is already entered Zanzibar, want to invest in technical or hub and innovation. So it is already now in town that is going to be invest. So don't worry, anyone who feel he wants to invest in these areas, so he can come That's why we say Zanzibar is going to become a silicon of Africa. That's what I can comment from that, but let me stop here. I thank all the viewers for their contribution and for their participation. Let me say goodbye. Welcome to Zanzibar.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Hashim, for those elaborate comments. I think the person who had asked you is the president of professional software engineers in Uganda. Possibly when he heard about the silicon projects, the next thing he's looking is how he needs to touch base to ensure that the body comes there. And I think we shall get in touch. I'm the executive secretary on that body for professional software engineers in Uganda. And I think we shall look at solutions that can be provided for that matter. Thank you. Finally, Mr. Mlalira Faizo Umar, your last comments.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maganda, for this opportunity. And thank you all the viewers online for your feedback. I think African governments are already moving towards land tenure reforms that are allowing foreigners or people that can invest in agriculture to not only enter into land acquisition agreements with the natives, but also have shared values with in regard to this land with natives to enable extensive commercialized farming as opposed to subsistence farming. I also know that we are in the process of deploying digital solutions in agriculture extension systems under the law, technological transfer, and risk management to ensure that the modified genetic resources and our indigenous crops are not affected. And I think Mr. Televish agrees with me. Technologies to do with crop production forecasting and establishment of meteorological centers across Africa is ongoing. I'm also privy to the environmental land use monitoring systems that are being developed. I know that many farmers in Uganda are on WhatsApp groups. I'm on WhatsApp groups for hash avocado and macadamia. We're also building resilient value chains through mobile service delivery and transparency in the chain distribution systems, which allows ecological preservation of the produce without holding it from the market, but keeping it during times of excess production and to ensure that they do not lose their nutrients and value within them. There are also biological-based crop protection and production technologies where you people in ICT like Tanya Solutions and the association that joins ICT people needs to come together to work with our governments in Africa to ensure that we incorporate ICT and digital farming into the big data banks that can be able to advance and ensure analysis and resilient forms of agriculture, such that the agricultural sector becomes a secure sector for the money economy, because the banks are hesitant to give credit to the agricultural sector. Why? Because of the uncertainty. Then food sensing technologies that can be able to sense the use of pesticides and see which pesticides are not good and which pesticides are good. Africa has a vast arable land. I was reading earlier in the day and I discovered that you need 22 kilograms of fertilizers to put in an hectare. That is 2.5 acres of land in Africa. Yet you need 222 kilograms of fertilizers to put in 1 acre in in the Arabian countries, which are desert-stricken, or also in the Caribbean. So for me, Africa must leverage its agricultural sector to position itself as a food basket, and value addition is the way to go, such that we broaden the market and we're able to compete in the foreign markets, both in AGOA and in the European Union market. I thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to the day Africa will attain its aspirations as per its targets in the 2060 agricultural agenda. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We have short over time, and I must apologize to the viewers, but you'll agree with me that the panelists have done a very fantastic job. So on behalf of Tanya Innovations Africa, allow me to thank Mr. Tridibesh, and special regards to Incube Innoventures. We shall certainly be in touch. Allow me to thank Zanzibar State University for allowing the DVC, Dr. Hashim Chande, for coming. Dr. Hashim, thank you for sparing time. This is our Africa. We must believe in it. We have to do whatever we can do in a small way, like coming to this talk to cause the change we want to see. I want to thank Mr. Mladida Faizo. Through such platforms, we need to have that, the knowledge you have and the one that you have given us today. You can imagine it was seated there at LDC, but you have just done a very commendable job. And what we do is that we share these videos after. To our listeners, I can't thank you enough. We always thank you for the support. We always have the listeners from Switzerland, United States, the UK, Africa. But I would like our brothers on the African continent to use this information. We are trying to go unconventional, that instead of just going on a TV where you have a panelist sometimes who talks about things they don't understand, or everybody is just discussing opinions. Here it's not opinion. We carefully select the panelists. As you can see that we had an expert in practice, we've had an expert in law, we've had an expert in academia. Therefore, we put just one center where we can have all that to widen our thinking. And I hope that there's something that you have learned from this show. So I thank you so much. I thank my technical team in the studio, Mr. Thomas, who is always in the backyard. People always assume Mr. Maganda is doing wonderful things, but I have technical team that actually puts this thing to good order. I also want to thank the members of Tanya Innovations, Mr. Abraham George. Actually, through him, we got Mr. Tridibesh. He's doing a wonderful job. They are certainly coming here on 20th of March. We have a team of investors that are coming with George Abraham to visit Tanya Innovations. We welcome you to come to Uganda, and I hope we shall have fruitful engagement. To all you, the viewers, thank you, thank you, thank you again. Make sure you share the Tanya Innovations link for people to subscribe and for people to make comments, and keep those comments coming for us to know what to adjust. Otherwise, I thank you. God bless you all.